This is Dan Seifert with mobileburn.com, and this is a look at the HTC One S for T-Mobile. The HTC One S for T-Mobile is the first of HTC's One series of smartphones with Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich and HTC's new Sense 4 interface to be available from a US carrier. T-Mobile's version of the One S is nearly identical to the international version we reviewed recently, save for its support for T-Mobile's network and the large number of apps that the carrier has pre-installed on the device. The One S's hardware is really nice, and it's strikingly slim at 7.95mm and really light at only 119 grams. The T-Mobile version has dropped the micro-arc oxidation treatment we saw on the international One S we reviewed, and instead features an attractive gray gradient color scheme on its aluminum unibody. Without the MAO treatment, the One S is a bit more slippery and lacks some of the grip than the black version has. Still, the hardware is put together really well and feels really solid. Inside is a 1650 mAh battery that's not user accessible, but I was able to get almost a full day of life out of it with normal usage, so it should be an all-day battery for most users, and I don't think that fact that it's not user accessible will be a problem for many. The One S has a 4.3-inch Super AMOLED display with a QHD 540 by 960 pixel resolution. It offers good viewing angles and nice colors and is usable outdoors. Unfortunately, the display uses a pentile matrix configuration, which can lead to some odd color fringing, but I don't think that most users will have a problem with it and will probably never notice the issues that it has. HTC has opted to use permanent capacitive buttons below the display for the functions of back, home, and multitasking, instead of using Google's recommended on-screen virtual keys for Android 4.0. In theory, this is a good idea because it gives more screen real estate to the apps themselves, but far too often there's still a bar at the bottom of the legacy menu button, so any real benefit is nullified. Under the hood, the One S has a 1.5 GHz dual-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 processor and 1 GB of RAM. The S4 processor benchmarks off the charts, but more importantly it offers a fast and responsive experience for everyday tasks. The One S is really fast, and there's no lags or hiccups anywhere during everyday usage. The One S also supports T-Mobile's HSPA Plus 42 megabit per second 4G network, and if you live in an area with coverage for it, you can see some impressive network speeds. As you can see here, I don't have HSPA Plus 42 coverage where I am, so the One S only sees pedestrian average network speeds. The One S runs Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich and HTC's new Sense 4.0 interface out of the box, making it one of the first non-Nexus smartphones to launch with Android 4.0 in the US. The new Sense 4.4 interface is a great improvement over the older Sense 3.0 and 3.5 interfaces from last year, but there's still areas where HTC didn't complete the full transformation from standard Android 4.0, and it's a bit jarring to see the two different looks on the same phone depending on which app you open. The default Downloads app is a good example of an app that doesn't mesh well with HTC Sense customizations. Sense does offer a really nice email app and messaging client though, and the shortcuts on the lock screen are quite handy. The One S also features HTC's exclusive Beats Audio integration. It's now available to apps other than the stock music player, like it was with older phones with Beats Audio, but it's still not much more than a bass and volume booster, and I don't think it actually adds much in quality when you're listening to music with headphones. Browsing the web with the One X is a quick experience. The browser loads pages very quickly and is responsive when zooming and scrolling, but it isn't without its faults. It has trouble zooming intelligently and reflowing text properly, which forces you to pan around more than necessary. Since the One S runs Android 4.0, we strongly recommend that buyers check out the Chrome beta for Android, which offers a nicer browsing experience than the stock browser. As we've seen with other T-Mobile smartphones recently, the carrier has added a ton of questionably useful apps to the One S right out of the box. The default home screen is littered with widgets and shortcuts to apps that many users will likely never touch, and the pre-installed apps can't be uninstalled. T-Mobile has added a Groupon clone, another music hub in addition to the stock one, account management apps, its own app store, T-Mobile TV, and more. Since the One S is a One series smartphone, its camera is a big focus, and the One S's 8 megapixel shooter with backside illuminated sensor and f2.0 lens is impressive. HTC's camera app is really fast and features quick access to live filters and other settings, as well as dedicated buttons for video and stills. Tap to focus works well in most situations, but it can have trouble with close-up macro focusing. Images taken with the camera in both good and poor lighting are impressive and sharp, with good amount of detail, proper white balance, and the right amount of saturation. The One S can also shoot 1080p video at 60 frames per second, and it features the unique trick of being able to capture full resolution stills while shooting video, which can be very useful. Audio capture is very good, and the One S never really skips a beat when you're snapping stills during video. T-Mobile will offer the One S on April 25th for $199 with a new tier contract, and when it becomes available, it'll easily be the best smartphone on the carrier. I think it will be able to hang on to that title for some time as well. For more looks at the HTC One S, be sure to check out our review of the international version, and for a closer look at the new Sense 4 interface, head on over to our One X review. For now, this is Dan Seifert with mobileburn.com. Thanks for watching.